Namaskar and welcome to Midday Prime. In the next 1 hour, we'll bring you all the stories and updates from India and the world. And we'll update you, of course, about the happenings in the world of business as well and sports and get you some interesting stories that are making headlines. First, let's look at the big news at this hour. The Iranian Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif holds talks with the External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj in New Delhi. A gamut of issues of mutual and regional interest discussed during the talks. The WTO ministerial enters the second day in Delhi. The Commerce Minister Suresh Prabhu stresses that the WTO should be an engine of growth for global trade and an instrument for all national development for all its members. And the US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo meets with the European Union Foreign Policy Chief Federica Mogherini. This is on the backdrop of developments related to Iran. Mogherini calls on the US to use restraint and avoid military escalation with Iran. Campaigning for the 7th and last phase of Lok Sabha elections intensifies. Prime Minister Narendra Modi addresses a rally in Balia in Uttar Pradesh, slams the SP-BSP alliance and says has never played caste-based politics in his long political career and interacts with people of Kashi as well through a video link. The Central Inter-Ministerial Team is on a 3-day visit to assess damage caused by Cyclone Foni. Visits Bhubaneswar and Puri in Odisha, as well as the CM Naveen Patnaik writes to the Prime Minister thanking him for all the assistance received from the centre. And the centre extends the ban on the Liberation Tigers of the Tamil Eelam, the LTT. This is for another 5 years. The government says that the LTT has consistently indulged in anti-India activities and is a threat to national security. And cricketing great VVS Lakshman deposes before the BCCI Ombudsman in connection with an alleged conflict of interest. The former India greats Sachin, Lakshman and Ganguly are alleged to have dual roles as members of the Cricket Advisory Committee as well as mentors for their respective IPL teams. And the India Pavilion is set to be inaugurated at the Cannes Film Festival beginning today. Amit Khare, Secretary, Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, to lead the Indian delegation, which will promote the Golden Jubilee edition of the International Film Festival of India to be held in Goa later this year. Let's begin with the big story at this hour. Well, the External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj held talks with the visiting Iranian Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif in New Delhi. A gamut of issues of mutual and regional interest were discussed during these talks. The Iranian Foreign Minister's visit comes 12 days after 6-month-long exemptions from the US sanctions to India, and 7 other countries to buy oil from Iran has ended. And it gains even greater importance, in fact, in the light of the build-up of tensions in the Gulf region between the US and Iran. Sudhir Yadav has some updates for us. Well, Sudhir, put this into context for us. What was really on the table for discussion today at this meeting? Sudhir, we're not able to hear you.
बिल्कुल मार्क,
go ahead, yes.
देखिए, आज की जो मीटिंग हुई दोनों जो विदेश मंत्री हैं करीब सुबह 11 बजे शुरू हुई और 1 घंटे से ज़्यादा चली। खास मुद्दा ये रहा कि जो सैंक्शंस के बाद जो सैंक्शन यूएस की तरफ से है उसके बाद से जो ऑयल है आखिर उसको लेकर दोनों देश आगे कैसे बढ़ सकेंगे। और खास बात ये भी कि अगर आगे बढ़ते हैं, ऑयल अगर भारत इंपोर्ट करता है ईरान से, तो यूएस के किस तरह से सैंक्शंस आएंगे और किस तरह से अफेक्ट करेंगे, क्या इनका कोई हल निकाला जा सकता है। दोनों देशों ने मिलकर बात की और ख़ास बात यह भी है कि डिप्लोमेसी के जरिए यूएस से आखिर किस तरीके से बात की जाए, क्या इस पर यूएस की तरफ से कोई क्या कहते हैं एक बेहतर कदम आ सकता है, क्या इस सारे मुद्दों को डिस्कशन के मुद्दे में रहा। और एक खास बात मार्क ये भी रही कि जो चाबहार पोर्ट है उसको लेकर भी डिस्कशन रहा, क्योंकि चाबहार पोर्ट का फ्यूचर क्या होगा, किस तरीके से इसको लेकर आगे बढ़ा जाएगा, क्योंकि अभी तक जो यूएस की तरफ से है उस पर इसको लेकर कोई बात नहीं। अभी तक ये अश्योर किया गया है यूएस की तरफ से कि इस पर कोई सैंक्शंस नहीं रहेंगे, लेकिन फ्यूचर में अगर ऐसी चीज़ें आती हैं या अभी इसको लेकर कैसे आगे बढ़ना है, इन सारे मुद्दों को लेकर आज बातचीत हुई। मार्क।
Well, thanks very much, Sudhir, for those inputs. And let's try and put into context what the US-Iran sanctions and the impact on India could possibly be. Well, India imports about 75% of its oil requirements, and Iran is among India's top oil suppliers. Maybe we can have some graphics on the board right now. Yes, here they are. Well, India imports about 75% of and Iran is among India's top oil suppliers, and well, India would like to continue buying oil from Iran. India may negotiate oil purchases through rupee trade. That's a possibility. India could also look to increase purchases from elsewhere, and India's relations with the UAE and Saudi Arabia are strong. Also, India's relations with Iran serve India's national interests. There are several interests there. India has interests in the Chabahar port, as we're well aware of. And India has a trilateral relationship with Afghanistan and Iran. Also, India is developing industries in the Chabahar economic zone. So all these are extremely important, as we know. And to discuss all this, we have with us in the studio Jyoti Mukul, Oil and Energy Editor of the Business Standard. Thank you very much, Ms. Mukul, for being with us. So first of all, let's try and understand with these sanctions now, what sort of impact does it have on India's oil basket? Are we likely to, have trouble with our imports?
Well, I don't see that India would have any trouble as far as importing oil is concerned, because we've always seen whenever such crises emerge, there is never a scarcity of crude oil per se, but what worries Indian planners and should be a worry for Indian consumers as well is the global impact of such crisis situations, and even the trade war which is going on between US and China on the oil prices, because that is what directly impacts consumers as well as government subsidy burden. So that should be the main concern.
So are you seeing a little bit of a spike in crude oil prices across the world? Are they going up just because of sanctions on Iran?
Yeah, we have over say last few months seen prices going up. Otherwise, if you compare it to say 1 year back or maybe a little earlier also, the prices had quite moderated, and this is when the government was doing the Ujjwala scheme, and there was this is a good scheme where people should have LPG cylinders, but if slowly the prices are going up, and then we are now seeing both LPG and kerosene subsidy increasing. So therefore, from a price point of view, Indians in general should be concerned about this whole Iran sanctions. But as far as importing oil is concerned, India earlier too, in not last financial year but the financial year previous to that, increased its import from other countries while cutting down on Iranian imports, because if you remember, even during Obama's regime, there was this whole talk of sanctions and how India could get an exemption. So India slowly reduced the quantities of Iranian crude oil, and Indian refineries at that point of time were probably more dependent on Iranian crude oil now then as compared to now.
Okay. So that, but we have been purchasing about 24 million tons a year, and this is of course since 2015, after that deal was struck, well, now that the sanctions are once again in place, we'll have to reduce that to the pre-2015 levels, is what you're suggesting. But India and China are huge buyers. Is there a sense that there could be a buyer's cartel that can dictate some sort of terms, at least in a marketplace?
India, China, Japan have been trying to forge a kind of a consumer grouping which could help in balancing these issues long term. The whole idea earlier with China was more on the upstream and oil production side, less on the pricing side. But with Japan, it was more on pricing side, and Indian ministers have been talking about an Asian premium, how Asia is charged more than other countries. But at this point of time, I would say that these are the price, the play of the oil price, and the volumes which would not be coming from Iran is more to do with the political global political situation, geopolitical situation, rather than a consumer versus producer issue. So therefore, having a consumer grouping, I don't see much of help it would have for India in general.
But India's strategic interests, Ms. Mukul, because of Iran playing a strategic role, especially since it's a gateway to Central Asia as well, and India has built up a very good relationship with Iran over the years. India is in a difficult situation here because the relationship with Iran serves India's national interest. Is there a possibility over time, let's say that, because Iran's economy is also doing badly and we are investing in Iran's economy by investing in the Chabahar economic zone. So there are a lot of things that are at stake here. Is there a possibility over time that perhaps Iran sells to a third country, a country that is, let's say, in a position to deal with the United States, let's say like China, and then there could be some intraport trade?
Yeah, that option has been talked about earlier also, and then there could be a rupee trade, say between, if you say China, Iran imports to China, and China we are a big importer from China, so that rupee exchange we can do with China. But the whole issue is the volume of the price, the value of rather the imports. Now, India's imports from Iran are higher than India exports to Iran in terms of value. Similarly, with China, India's imports to China are much lower than India's imports from China. So therefore, working out a mechanism like this would be very difficult and tricky, but that seems an option at the moment. But the whole idea here would be to have you have to mark your currency to a particular index of currencies. All the three countries would have to do that.
Yes.
That would be one requirement, and then a whole thing has to be worked out very minutely to the last detail. So the easier option here would be probably to buy from other countries meanwhile. India did continue to buy from Iran when the sanctions were talked about earlier during Obama regime, and that led to a huge pile up of our areas to Iran. So we have to be very careful that we do not shift the burden of our current purchases to future by not making a payment simply because there are sanctions and we cannot.
Now, a final question with regard to the overall scenario, because yes, there is a trade war between the United States and China. There are sanctions on Iran, and the WTO is having a mini ministerial here in India. But do you think the WTO, because it's an overall trade body, has any role that can bring about a stabilizing factor in world trade at the current time?
Well, the current United States regime has undermined WTO to a large extent. So the trade war currently on between US and China, and US keeps threatening India as well, is something which these countries have to the US has to bilaterally also accept, be more acceptable to the whole idea of things being imported to in that country.
Yes.
But at the same time, what we are seeing here is, unlike earlier, China seems to be more open to WTO, more open to say making a dialogue,
yes,
which United States at this point of time does not seem to be doing.
Okay, we leave it there. Thank you very much, Ms. Jyoti Mukul, for being with us here on Midday Prime. And moving on to our next story then, meanwhile, European diplomats have urged the United States to exercise maximum restraint. This is as tensions mount in the Gulf, as this is a year after Washington had withdrawn from that landmark deal that we've been talking about that curbed Iran's nuclear program. Federica Mogherini, the European Union's diplomatic chief, stressed the need for dialogue following a meeting with the U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, who made a last-minute visit to Brussels on Monday to share information on the escalating threats from Iran. So the U.S. has reimposed punishing sanctions, as we know, on Iran since its unilateral exit from the nuclear deal negotiated between Tehran and 6 world powers. This happened in 2015. Last week, Washington sent naval vessels as well and bombers to the Middle East, citing unspecified threats from Tehran. And Iran has responded by declaring it will scale up and actually scale back compliance with parts of the nuclear deal. So Mogherini said that the EU continues to fully support this accord, which imposes limits on Iran's nuclear program in return for sanctions relief. Let's listen.
Mike Pompeo heard that very clearly today from us, not only from myself, but also from the other ministers of EU member states, that we are living in a crucial, delicate moment where the most relevant attitude to take is that of maximum restraint and avoiding any escalation on a military side. We still invite Iran to comply with all its nuclear commitments, and we will do our part on our side to continue to fully implement the nuclear deal.
And Iran's Foreign Minister, Mohammad Javad Zarif, who is in India, has blamed the United States for the escalation.
Unfortunately, the United States has been escalating the situation unnecessarily. We do not seek escalation, but we have always defended ourselves.
And back home, well, the second day meeting of the World Trade Organization ministerial meeting of the developing countries began in New Delhi today. So this two-day meeting is being held at a time when the multilateral rule-based trading system is facing serious and grave challenges. The meeting will provide an opportunity for the ministers to discuss various issues and also look for a way forward. In the two-day meeting, the focus is on finding a solution to the ongoing impasse in the appellate body on an urgent basis and issues of importance and priority for developing countries as well in the reform agenda of the WTO. Meanwhile, the Commerce Minister, Suresh Prabhu, has tweeted, and he said that the WTO should be an engine of growth for global trade and an instrument for national development of all its members. The WTO ministerial meeting at Delhi is for like-minded nations and not against any country or group of countries. The reality of challenges that developing countries face should be borne in mind while the tenets of global trade are being negotiated. And in Midday Prime, it's time now for updates, other updates, in fact, from the world of business. And Nancy has those updates. Thanks very much, Nancy. Over to you.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, the trade war between the US and China has escalated. China has retaliated against the US with its own higher tariff, announcing tariff hike on $60 billion of the US imports. In fact, China has raised tariffs on more than 5,000 US products, with the new rates ranging from 5 to 25%. Now, the new tariff will come into force from the 1st of June.
Under this circumstance, we think it's meaningless to point fingers at one another, and passing the buck is even less acceptable. The attempt to exert extreme pressure can only trigger legitimate countermeasures. The measures China takes are not only to safeguard our rightful interest, but also to preserve the basic rules of the multilateral trading system.
China's retaliatory move comes three days after the US more than doubled tariff on the $200 billion of Chinese imports. US President Donald Trump, meanwhile, has said that he was optimistic about resolving the US trade dispute with China.
I also want to thank Secretary Steven Mnuchin. Steve. Steve just got back from China. We'll let you know in about 3 or 4 weeks whether or not it was successful. You never really know, right? But I have a feeling it's going to be very successful.
And well, the Asian shares have also deepened losses amid a fresh deterioration in the China-US tariff war. The Asian shares have fallen in the afternoon trade as tensions between the US and China intensified. The Shanghai Composite is lower by 0.36% and the Shenzhen Component is down 0.46%. The Shenzhen Composite declined 0.490%. Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index has fallen 1.58%. The Nikkei in Japan fell around 0.78% in the afternoon trade. In South Korea, the Kospi bucked the overall trend to rise nearly 0.2%. And the Wall Street shares also sank after China defied Washington by announcing retaliatory tariff. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 617 points to 25,324, and the S&P 500 lost 69 points to 2,811. The Nasdaq Composite dropped 269 points to 7,647. And while the domestic stock markets have also begun today's session on a choppy note, with the benchmark indices switching between the gains and losses in the first few minutes of the trade, Sensex has dropped over 100 points. Now, if the Sensex and the Nifty close lower today, well, that would mean a 10th straight day of the losses for the domestic markets. And we're moving on now to some other business news. The former ICICI Bank CEO Chanda Kochhar and her husband Deepak Kochhar are being questioned again today. They were questioned yesterday for over 8 hours by the Enforcement Directorate after they appeared before it in connection with an alleged bank loan fraud and the money laundering case registered against them. Chanda Kochhar's brother-in-law Rajiv Kochhar has also been grilled by the Enforcement Directorate multiple times in the case a few days back. And the grounded carrier Jet Airways Deputy Chief Executive and the Chief Financial Officer Amit Agrawal has resigned. Agrawal's resignation is effective from 13th May. The airline, remember, had ceased operations temporarily around mid-April due to acute liquidity crisis. Also, most of the airline's board members have also quit in the last 1 month. Well, that's all the business news this afternoon. Mark, it's back to you for the rest of the news.
Right, thanks very much, Nancy. And let's get back to our other stories then. Hectic campaigning is underway for the 7th and final phase of Lok Sabha elections. And we know 59 constituencies spread over 7 states and a union territory will be going to the polls in this phase on Sunday. The star campaigners for the various political parties are holding multiple rallies to garner support in favor of their party candidates. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in a video message to the people of Varanasi through the Narendra Modi app, in fact, has appealed to the voters of his constituency Varanasi to wholeheartedly take part in voting on the 19th of this month. Let's listen.
वोट देने अवश्य जाइएगा। इतना ही नहीं, अपने आस पड़ोस परिवार साथियों को सभी को वोट करने के लिए प्रेरित भी करिएगा। और क्यों ना हम उत्सव के रूप में मतदान करें। सारा देश काशी की तरफ देखता होगा उस दिन। अपनी परंपरागत वेशभूषा हो, गाजे बाजे के साथ निकले, काशी की पहचान बनाते निकले।
And the Prime Minister added that Varanasi stands as an example to others, be it in the health sector or in the skills sector.
पिछले 5 वर्षों में जन भागीदारी के साथ वाराणसी शहर विकास की जिस नई राह पर चल पड़ा है, वो देश के लिए एक मिसाल है। साथियों, आवास हो या शौचालय, मुफ्त एलपीजी हो या बिजली कनेक्शन, वाराणसी ने हर क्षेत्र में आदर्श उदाहरण पेश किया है।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi is in Uttar Pradesh today. He's also in Bihar, and the Prime Minister shared the stage in Buxar with the NDA ally LJP chief Ramvilas Paswan and senior JDU and state BJP leaders. And the Prime Minister slammed the opposition parties for duping the poor, is what he alleged.
ये वो लोग हैं जिन्होंने दशकों तक गरीबों के नाम पर वोट बटोरे, बड़े बड़े पद हासिल किए, लेकिन जब काम करने की बारी आई तो सबसे पहले उन्होंने गरीबों को भूलने का ही काम किया। ये लोग भी गरीबी से निकले थे, लेकिन इन लोगों ने आज हजारों करोड़ों की संपत्ति खड़ी कर ली है। राजनीति में कब से इतनी तनख्वाह मिलने लगी कि अरबों खरबों का मालिक हो जाए।
The Prime Minister held the first rally of the day at Ballia, and he hailed the glorious history of Ballia in the freedom struggle. And taking inspiration from the land of rebellion, the Prime Minister said that he has turned a rebel himself against poverty, and he attacked the leaders of the Mahagathbandhan of the SP-BSP, that is, for amassing wealth and property, as what he alleged, in the name of caste politics.
मेरी एक ही जाति है और मेरी जाति है गरीबी, और इसलिए मैंने गरीबी के खिलाफ बगावत की है। इन महामिलावटी लोगों ने कैसी राजनीति की है, सत्ता के नाम पर कैसे आपको धोखा दिया है, लूटा है, आप इसे भली भांति जानते हैं। इन लोगों ने जाति की राजनीति के नाम पर अपने और अपने रिश्तेदारों के लिए बंगले खड़े किए हैं।
And the BSP Supremo Mayawati, the SP Chief Akhilesh Yadav and the RLD President Ajit Singh also held a joint rally in UP's Salempur. And addressing that gathering, Mayawati slammed the Congress party for being detrimental to the interests of the people, and so it is a zero party now, is what she says.
आजादी के बाद शुरू में केंद्र व देश के अधिकांश राज्यों में भी ज्यादातर सत्ता यहाँ कांग्रेस पार्टी के ही हाथों में केंद्रित रही है, किंतु यहाँ खास ध्यान देने की बात यह है कि कांग्रेस पार्टी के केंद्र में व अधिकतर राज्यों में भी लंबे अरसे तक रहे शासनकाल में इनकी अधिकांश रही गलत नीतियों व गलत कार्य प्रणाली की वजह से फिर इस कांग्रेस पार्टी को केंद्र व काफी राज्यों की भी सत्ता से बाहर होना पड़ा है।
And the BJP President Amit Shah will hold a mega road show in West Bengal's North Kolkata today. The Supreme Court on Tuesday granted bail to a BJP activist arrested for allegedly posting a morphed image of Mamata Banerjee on social media and asked her to apologize while observing that freedom of speech ends when it infringes upon the rights of others. A vacation bench comprising Justices Indira Banerjee and Sanjeev Khanna said that Priyanka Sharma, BJP Yuva Morcha leader, will apologize in writing upon her release from jail for allegedly posting the morphed picture of the West Bengal Chief Minister. During the hearing, the bench observed that though freedom of speech is non-negotiable, your freedom of speech ends when it infringes upon others' rights. The bench observed that since Sharma is a member of a political party, the insinuation of posting such a picture will be different from those shared by just any common person. And Priyanka Sharma was arrested on May 10 by the West Bengal police under Section 500, which is defamation of the IPC, and under other provisions as well of the Information Technology Act on a complaint by a local Trinamool Congress leader, Vibhas Hazra. The Union Home Minister Rajnath Singh has said that the BJP respects the Supreme Court verdict on granting bail to its activist Priyanka. The party, however, condemned its activist being arrested by the state government for posting a morphed image of Mamata Banerjee. Rajnath Singh said that the BJP will file an appeal in the Supreme Court asking it to reconsider its decision to grant bail.
नहीं उन्होंने जेल भेजा। मैं समझता हूं कि प्रधानमंत्री के बारे में क्या क्या हो रहा है, अन्य पॉलिटिकल लीडर्स के बारे में क्या क्या हो रहा है। अब कोर्ट का फैसला है, इसलिए मैं उसके बारे में कुछ नहीं कहना चाहूंगा। अरे हम लोगों की कैसी कैसी फोटोग्राफ बनाकर डाली जाती है, लेकिन जो भी हुआ है ये यदि कोर्ट का आदेश है तो मानिए कि फिर जाएंगे ऊपर अपील करेंगे।
And Home Minister Rajnath Singh has also said that there is no place for political violence in a healthy democracy. It's unfortunate that more and more incidents of violence are taking place in West Bengal. He termed it unfortunate, in fact, that the Chief Minister is unable to stop violence in the state.
नहीं, मैं मानता हूं कि वायलेंस यदि होता है, लॉ एंड ऑर्डर की प्रॉब्लम खड़ी होती है और वो कंट्रोल नहीं होती है, तो उसके लिए स्टेट गवर्नमेंट रिस्पॉन्सिबल है। चीफ मिनिस्टर इज रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर दैट। और इसके अतिरिक्त यदि आपको लगता है कि और कोई रिस्पॉन्सिबल है तो बतलाइए।
And the Congress President Rahul Gandhi is in Madhya Pradesh. He addressed his first rally there at Neemuch, and the on target was the Prime Minister and his government's policies. Well, Rahul Gandhi exuded confidence as well of a win in the Lok Sabha elections. So this is what Rahul Gandhi said. He listed, in fact, the benefits of the MEA scheme, and he reiterated his party's promise to fill 22 lakh government jobs that are lying vacant within a year of coming to office. If they do come to office, Rahul Gandhi also said that there would be two budgets. One would be for farmers.
मंदसौर के किसान पहली बार हिंदुस्तान के इतिहास में लोकसभा में 2 बजट पेश होंगे। एक नहीं होगा, 2 होंगे। पहला बजट किसानों का बजट होगा। पहला बजट, उसमें नीमच के किसानों को, मंदसौर के किसानों को, मध्य प्रदेश के किसानों को साल की शुरुआत में ही बता दिया जाएगा। इस प्रकार का काम आपकी सरकार करने जा रही है आपके लिए।
And Rahul Gandhi will also campaign in Ujjain and Khandwa later in the day.
गरीबों को जरूर फायदा हो।
Well, restoration work in cyclone Foni affected areas in Odisha is continuing on a war footing. People in areas affected by the cyclone are being provided food and water. A central team headed by the Deputy Secretary for Home, Vivek Bharadwaj, meanwhile, is on a 3-day visit to the cyclone-affected Bhubaneswar and Puri as well to take stock of the damage caused, also the relief work that's going on. And this team also reviewed the temporary shelters and relief work as also the relief materials in these camps. The team of 11 formed 3 groups that fanned out across the cyclone affected districts, and they surveyed damaged houses as well. Special kitchens have been set up to provide food for the victims. Indian Oil is engaged in providing free medicines. The government has started giving 50 kilos of rice, 2,000 rupees and 2 liters of kerosene per family. Apart from this, onions and potatoes are also being given at subsidized rates. Mobile ATMs are being deployed in some affected areas. And Anuj is now joining us on the phone line with more updates. Well, Anuj, very comprehensive steps being taken by the government for relief and rescue operations, well, relief measures really. Tell us a little bit about all the ATMs, the mobile ATMs, and how far are they reaching?
देखिए, जो एटीएम है, जो मोबाइल गाड़ियां हैं, गाड़ियों के माध्यम से कैनरा बैंक और बाकी जितने भी पब्लिक सेक्टर के बैंक हैं, सभी ने कोशिश की है, क्योंकि अभी इलेक्ट्रिसिटी का प्रॉब्लम है, अभी जो इलेक्ट्रिक पोल्स हैं उनको लगाने का काम चल रहा है, लेकिन जब तक लोगों को सहूलियत देनी है, लोगों की मदद करनी है, इसलिए सुबह से लेके दोपहर को और फिर शाम के समय में अलग अलग इलाकों के अंदर, कॉलोनीज के अंदर मोबाइल वैन जाती हैं। लोग अपना 2,500 रुपए एक बार में निकाल सकते हैं। इस तरह की मदद की गई है। इसके अलावा पीने के पानी की व्यवस्था की गई है, खाने के लिए किचन बनाए हैं। खास तौर से जो गांव के इलाके हैं वहां पर लोग आते हैं, तीनों वक्त अपना खाना खाते हैं, पानी के पीने की व्यवस्था वहां पर की गई है। और एक अच्छी बात यह है कि भुवनेश्वर के अंदर 80% इलेक्ट्रिसिटी सप्लाई का काम पूरा हो चुका है, पुरी के अंदर 50% का काम पूरा हो चुका है, और उम्मीद है कि आने वाले कुछ दिनों के अंदर इलेक्ट्रिसिटी और पानी की सप्लाई को पूरा कर दिया जाएगा। मार्कलिन जो सेंट्रल टीम दिल्ली से आई हुई है, आज दूसरा दिन है। आज उन्होंने कटक में जाके जो फार्मर्स हैं उनकी जो फसल का नुकसान हुआ था उसका आकलन किया है। कल अलग अलग इलाकों में टीम गई थी, कितने लोगों के घर टूटे हैं, क्या नुकसान हुआ है, और जो एक राहत का काम चल रहा है, रिहेबिलिटेशन का जो काम चल रहा है, क्या वो ठीक प्रॉपर तरीके से चल रहा है, इसी सब बातों का आकलन जो सेंट्रल टीम है वो कर रही है। कल आखिरी दिन होगा, कल भी अलग अलग जगहों पर सेंट्रल टीम विजिट करेगी और एक पूरा आकलन देगी सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट को कितना यहाँ पर नुकसान हुआ है, और ओडिशा के लोगों को क्या अभी और जरूरत है ताकि केंद्र सरकार और स्टेट गवर्नमेंट ऑयल के काम कर सके।
Okay, Anuj, also let's focus a little bit on, because people would be requiring food, what about the supplies? I mean, they can have money, but what can they use it to buy? All these sort of things. Are markets going to be resupplied? What's the state of, let's say, the food chain in a sense? Also, medicines which are required for people in case they are unwell.
देखिए, बिल्कुल सरकार ने कोशिश है कि गाड़ियों के माध्यम से जो सब्जियों की दुकान है वो लगाई गई है, और वो बहुत ही चीप रेट्स पर जो लोगों को उपलब्ध कराई जा रही हैं। 10 रुपए किलो के हिसाब से चावल, 50 किलो चावल बिल्कुल मुफ्त में दिया जा रहा है। 2 लीटर कैरोसिन ऑयल है वो बिल्कुल मुफ्त में दिया जा रहा है, और 2,000 रुपए कैश वो भी लोगों की आर्थिक मदद के लिए दिए जा रहे हैं। आलू और प्याज को 10 रुपए प्रति किलो के हिसाब से दिया जा रहा है। इंडियन ऑयल ने एक बहुत अच्छी पहल मार्कलिन की है। इंडियन ऑयल कंपनी ने अलग अलग इलाकों में अपनी एम्बुलेंस भेजी है जो लोगों को मुफ्त में दवाई दे रही है, और जो डॉक्टर्स हैं बच्चों का, क्योंकि गर्मी का काफी समय है, यहाँ पर ह्यूमिडिटी 98% के आसपास है, बच्चे बीमार ना हो इसलिए उनको दवाई और डॉक्टर की सुविधा उपलब्ध कराई गई है। इसके अलावा काफी एनजीओज हैं जो लोगों की हेल्प कर रहे हैं, चाहे वो फूड पैकेट्स की हम बात करें, लोगों के लिए कपड़े की बात करें, या जो भी चीजें जरूरी हैं उनकी सप्लाई अलग अलग स्टेट्स के माध्यम से भी लोग यहाँ पर आकर कर रहे हैं। मार्कलिन,
right? Anuj, one more thing, we noticed that you're speaking to us on the phone. What is connectivity like? Because is the internet connectivity also pretty decent there? Is there possible for people to contact let's say via satellite link and all that?
देखिए, बिल्कुल मोबाइल कनेक्टिविटी की एक थोड़ी प्रॉब्लम अभी देखी जरूर जा रही है, क्योंकि जिस तरीके से इलेक्ट्रिक पोल्स को और जो टूटे हुए पेड़ हैं उनको जो हटाने का काम चल रहा है, निश्चित तौर पर उसमें कई बार जो इंटरनेट की जो फाइबर केबल है वो कट जाती है, वो प्रॉपर तरीके से उसका अभी तक काम नहीं हो पाया है। कुछ ऐसे इलाके जरूर हैं, मोबाइल टावर्स, क्योंकि सबसे ज्यादा मोबाइल टावर्स को नुकसान हुआ था, 100% मोबाइल टावर्स डैमेज हो गए थे पुरी और भुवनेश्वर के अंदर, लेकिन पिछले 10 दिन के अंदर कोशिश की गई है, कुछ जगहों पर मोबाइल टावर्स को लगाया गया है। मैं आपसे अभी बात कर रहा हूं तो एक पर्टिकुलर जगह पर आकर मैं आपसे बात कर रहा हूं, लेकिन जरूरी नहीं है कि आप भुवनेश्वर पुरी के किसी इलाके में हो और आपका फोन लग जाए। पुरी के ज्यादातर जितने भी ग्रामीण इलाके हैं वहां मोबाइल कनेक्टिविटी नहीं है, लेकिन एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन ने प्रॉमिस किया है, दावा किया है लोगों से कि कुछ समय के अंदर मोबाइल कनेक्टिविटी को भी दुरुस्त किया जाएगा।
Thanks very much, Anuj Yadav, joining us with updates from Odisha. We're going to take a short commercial break at this point in time. Do stay with us.
Incisive, intensive. Get your daily dose of news and analysis in English News Night every weekday at 9 p.m. on DD India. Channel number 620 on Tata Sky, 199 on Dish TV, 150 on Airtel, 28 on UCN and 395 on Videocon D2H.
एक अभियान जिसने बदल दी देश की तस्वीर। जन आंदोलन में बदला स्वच्छता अभियान। गंदगी मुक्त भारत के लिए राष्ट्र हुआ एकजुट। देश के हर कोने से स्वच्छता की खबरों के लिए देखिए डीडी न्यूज पर विशेष कार्यक्रम स्वच्छता समाचार, सोमवार से शुक्रवार शाम 6:50 पर, सिर्फ डीडी न्यूज पर।
आम लोगों की खास कहानियां।
गुड न्यूज आपका जो कार्यक्रम चलता है, सकारात्मक संदेश पहुंचाने का तरीका आपका बहुत बढ़िया है।
बहुत अच्छा मैसेज आ रहा है, लोगों को पॉजिटिव एनर्जी मिल रही है और लोग जुड़ भी रहे हैं।
दूरदर्शन की रीच इतनी ज्यादा है, बहुत लोगों ने इसको देखा।
बनिए गुड न्यूज इंडिया का हिस्सा। भेजिए अनकही प्रेरक कहानियां। गुड न्यूज इंडिया, सिर्फ डीडी न्यूज पर।
Informative, incisive, intensive. Get your daily dose of news and analysis in English News Night every weekday at 9 p.m. on DD India. Channel number 620 on Tata Sky, 199 on Dish TV, 150 on Airtel, 28 on UCN and 395 on Videocon D2H.
Well, in fact, we are back and let me give you the sports news now. And it's time for the world of sports. So let's begin with cricket, and cricketing greats Sachin Tendulkar and VVS Lakshman will depose before the BCCI Ombudsman and the Ethics Officer Justice D.K. Jain. This is in connection, of course, with that alleged conflict of interest. And Tendulkar and Lakshman are alleged to be conflicted. They are having conflicts of interest for their dual roles as members of the Cricket Advisory Committee as well as icon and mentors of their respective IPL teams. Now, both cricketers have, however, denied having any conflict of interest. VVS Lakshman came to depose before the ethics officer, while Sachin is yet to present his side of the argument. And the 10th seed and home favourite Fabio Fognini has swept aside former world number 5 Joe Wilfried Tsonga on Monday at the Italian Open in Rome, winning in straight sets. He won 6-3, 6-4, and he joined in the second round by Denis Shapovalov, and Shapovalov in fact saw off a challenge of last year's quarter-finalist Pablo Carreno Busta, winning 6-3, 7-6. The Canadian faces a tough test in the second round, as next up for him is the world number 1 Novak Djokovic. Rafael Nadal also gets his tournament underway in the second round, and the Spaniard is feeling positive despite his relative struggles this season so far. Nadal is yet to win a title in 2019, as we remember, and has failed to dominate even on his favourite surface, which is clay, like in the previous seasons.
I have been in 3 semi-finals in a row, well, 4 semi-finals in a row since Indian Wells. And that's it. That's tennis. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, and it's true that I lost a couple of matches that playing good, probably I will win. But that's how it works. If you don't play enough good, then the opponent is good too, and the matches that I lost, I deserve to lose. Only one, my opinion, I deserve to win that I lost was against Kyrgios in Acapulco. The rest of the matches I lost, I deserve to lose. And I'm here to try my best another week.
Great champion and very good sporting spirit there from Rafael Nadal. Moving on then, well, the centre today extended a ban on the Liberation Tigers of the Tamil Eelam, that's the LTTE, for violent and disruptive activities which are prejudicial to the integrity and sovereignty of India. The Ministry of Home Affairs renewed its 2014 notification to declare the LTTE as an unlawful association for another 5 years. In the notification, the MHA has said that the LTTE continues to adopt a strong anti-India posture, as also continues to pose a grave threat to the security of Indian nationals. It is necessary to declare LTTE as an unlawful association with immediate effect. Time now to get you some news from our next segment, which is Life Prime. These are stories from the world of art, culture, cinema, fashion, as well as stories that are bringing smiles on people's faces, changing lives. The excitement is soaring and the stage is set for the 72nd Cannes Film Festival. It begins today, and with films Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Rocket Man, The Dead Don't Die. These are all the films in the fray. And the 10-day festival will also see a heady mix of star names and newcomers. The India Pavilion will be inaugurated at the festival today. The week-long India Pavilion will have its opening on May 15, I beg your pardon. Several Bollywood celebrities, in fact, will mark their presence at the event.
Curtains up for the 2019 Cannes Film Festival later this evening, and all eyes are on some of the biggest films which will be in competition. These are Quentin Tarantino's much-awaited Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Jim Jarmusch's comedy horror starring Bill Murray and Iggy Pop, The Dead Don't Die, Elton John's biopic Rocket Man. And once again, the India Pavilion at the festival will showcase Indian cinema across linguistic, cultural and regional diversity. The aim is to forge international partnerships in every aspect of film production and distribution. The Indian delegation this year is being led by Secretary INB Amit Khare. The film delegation includes Prasoon Joshi, Chairman CBFC, and acclaimed filmmakers Rahul Rabel, Shaji N. Karun and Madhur Bhandarkar. A key focus area of the Indian delegation this year will be to promote the Golden Jubilee edition of International Film Festival of India. This year, the Cannes Festival's jury, besides President Alejandro González Iñárritu, is made up of 4 women and 4 men for the first time. 4 female directors are competing for the top award out of 21 films.
We're going to see some of the first indications of how Cannes will change. This year is probably going to be a very traditional festival, and the films that are shown here will all be theatrical films. But I think the festival has to change, and they acknowledge that they have to change.
The 72nd edition of the Cannes Festival will end on 25th May with a total of 21 films in the fray for the competition, and multiple screening and premieres of movies from across the world are also scheduled. Bureau Report, DD News.
Well, the actress Doris Day, who became one of the greatest box office attractions of her time as a cheery, freckle-faced personification of wholesomeness, died on Monday at the age of 97. According to the Doris Day Animal Foundations, it said that it said on its website, in fact, that Day, who co-starred with the 1950s and 1960s superstars such as Rock Hudson, Cary Grant, died at her Carmel, California home after a bout of pneumonia. Her shiny girl next door image was built on a series of innocent romantic comedies, including Pillow Talk, for which Doris Day had received an Oscar nomination. In fact, that touch of mink and the thrill of it all also had Day hit records. Most notably, there was Ke Sara Sara for that movie, The Man Who Knew Too Much. It became her theme song, in fact, even though she had initially been reluctant to even record it. The actress Doris Day is remembered by fans on Hollywood Walk of Fame in Los Angeles, and the day that the day, in fact, Doris Day was born, it was the 3rd of April in 1922. She was born in Cincinnati and she headed to California at the age of 14. She wanted to become a dancer. She abandoned that dream after her right leg, in fact, was broken in an auto accident. A remarkable life of a great actress. Well, an American explorer has found plastic waste at the sea floor while breaking the record for the deepest ever dive. Victor Vescovo descended nearly 11 kilometers to the deepest place in the oceans, and this is the Pacific Ocean's Mariana Trench. What did he find there? He spent 4 hours exploring the bottom of the trench, and this he did in his submersible built to withstand the immense pressure of the deep. And he found sea creatures, but surprisingly he found a plastic bag with sweet wrappers. So it's the 3rd time that humans have reached the ocean's extreme depths, and it's very sad that what he found was, surprisingly, what humans have been throwing away, plastic. And that's all that we have for you in this edition of the Midday Prime. All updates are available on our YouTube and Twitter. Do continue to follow us. Thanks very much for watching Midday Prime. Namaskar. Thank you for watching.